The lake behind my house has always been my peace. My father, a Navy veteran, built a small wooden dock there 30 years ago. Usetu, call it his last post. Winnipased. I kept that dock exactly the same. Polished wood, old rope railing, and the little brass plate that read LT. Commander Robert H. Gray, U.S. Navy. 4 years. No one bothered it. Then one morning, I found a bright orange paper taped to my front door. Unauthorized dock structure. Remove within 10 days, or face daily fines. It was stamped by the Lakeside Homeowners Association. I called immediately. A woman from the HOA answered, voice sharp and robotic. Sir, your dock isn't on the community's approved design list. You'll need to remove it. I told her the dock had been there decades before the HOA even existed. She said coldly, all current structures must meet updated HOA standards. And just like that, my father's dock, a piece of veteran history, was labeled illegal. That night, I pulled out my father's old files. Inside a folder marked property rights, I found something I'd only heard him mention once. A federal veteran docking rights certificate, issued under the Veteran Shoreline Act of 1983. It granted him permanent rights to maintain a private dock as part of his veteran home loan program. It was signed, sealed, and federally backed. The next morning, I scanned everything, the certificate and permits, and emailed them to the HOA under the subject, Federal Protection Documentation. Lot 27. 2 days later, I came home to find yellow caution tape around my dock. A new sign read, pending removal, non-compliance. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was arrogance. The next day, I marched into the HOA office. The president, Richard Lanning, was sitting behind a huge desk like he was the mayor of the lake. I dropped the documents in front of him and said, the dock is federally protected. You have no jurisdiction. He didn't even flinch. Our community bylaws override outdated documents, Mr. Gray. Outdated? I said, that's U.S. law. He smirked. Then you'll have to prove it. Challenge accepted. I called my lawyer, Allison Reed, who specialized in property and veteran rights. Within 48 hours, she sent us a cease and desist letter citing Title 38, Section 5301 of the U.S. Code, protecting veteran property rights from interference by private associations. She sent copies to the HOA, City Code Office, and County Rec. A few days later, I received an email from the HOA. All enforcement actions will be paused pending review. I thought it was over, until the next morning, when I found a maintenance worker hammering a violation stake into the ground beside my dock. I walked down there and said, you touch one board of that dock, and I'll have you answering to federal court. He looked terrified and left. That afternoon, my lawyer filed a harassment complaint with the city. The next day, a city inspector came out. He examined the dock and laughed. This thing's solid. Whoever flagged it has no clue. He filed his report confirming the structure was sound and compliant with all safety codes. Then came the HOA emergency meeting. Primera, show it. Up. The room was full. Board members up front. Neighbors whispering in the back. Richie started his speech. We're here to address certain unauthorized shoreline. I cut in. You mean my dock? The one you illegally tagged? He glared. Mr. Gray, you'll have your turn. I said louder. This isn't about turns. This is about federal law you've chosen to ignore. The room went silent. I pulled out the certificate, the deed, and the inspector's report. This document gives my father, a U.S. Navy veteran, the permanent right to build and maintain that dock. Your board is violating federal code by challenging it. One of the board members whispered something to Richard. He looked pale, but he made finished. You have two choices. Respect the law or explain to a federal judge why you think your HOA rules outrank a veteran. S rights. People started clapping. Not everyone, but enough. The power in that room shifted. A week later, Allison got a call from the HOA's attorney. They wanted appeasal resolution. Translation. They realized they were in trouble. They offered to drop the fines if I painted the dock in approved colors. I said no. Allison leaned forward and said, my client wants written confirmation that the HOA has no authority over the dock or shoreline. Silence. Then the lawyer agreed. 10 days later, I received a letter. The Lakeside Homeowners Association acknowledges that the dock at Lot 27 is privately owned, protected under federal veteran benefits, and exempt from HOA jurisdiction. Victory, legal, clean, and absolute. But something bigger happened next. Neighbors started stopping by. Some were veterans, others just tired of being pushed around. One man said, "They fined me for a flagpole last year. I didn't know we could fight back." Another said, "They made me tear down my shed even though it was on my deed line." The HOA had been bullying people for years, counting on fear and confusion. My case showed them the line they couldn't cross. Within weeks, 3 more homeowners filed complaints citing overreach. The County Oversight Office opened an investigation and found multiple violations of authority. The HOA received an official reprimand for unlawful enforcement beyond community jurisdiction. That made the local news. Veterans Family forces HOA to recognize federal property rights. After that, everything changed. The board's image shattered. At the next election, 5 of 7 members, including Richard, were voted out. The new president, a retired Marine named Tom Daniels, introduced a new motion called the Veteran Property Respect Policy. No HOA action shall target, alter, or penalize any structure protected under veteran or federal property rights. He added, "This is about respect for service and for the law." The motion passed unanimously. Now, when I step onto that dock in the morning, I see what it really stands for. Not just my father's craftsmanship, but his principle. The brass plate still gleams. LT Commander Robert H. Gray. Dock of Honor. And as an irony that always makes me smile, the man who once ordered its destruction, Richard, still lives 2 houses down. He walks his dog past the lake every evening. He can't avoid looking at the dock that ended his little empire. That dock outlasted him. The fines, the threats, and the arrogance. It stands there solid and proud. A reminder that when you know your rights, even the most controlling HOA has to bow to the law. I didn't set out to start a fight. I just wanted to protect my father's legacy. But in the end, that fight protected more than a dock. It protected everyone. It's right to stand up to people who forget where power really comes from. Because sometimes, justice isn't loud or violent. Sometimes it has quiet the sound of calm water hitting a dock they said you couldn't keep.